Welcome, Timmy, to Metaladium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about the new roses, this new album, Attractor to Danger, and more things related to the metal world. War rock and metal in general. So we started by asking, so how are you? How is the band during the last couple of years?
Last couple of years. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Wow, that's a long time. Um, yeah, we survived COVID. Everybody survived it, and the band survived it as well. It was a good thing. And after that, we couldn't wait to get on the road again. We came back with the new album called Sweet Poison, and then we toured it very, very, very much. And we went on tour with Kiss and the Scorpions and Foreigner and a lot of big names, and we had a blast on the road. And when we came back, we just thought like, hey, we don't want that to stop. So we wrote a new record called Attracted to Danger, and we are about to release it on October 4th. So yeah, we're very excited.
Okay. So when did you start writing songs for this new album? And are the songs new, or did you rescue any composition that were left out of your previous album, perhaps from Sweet Poison?
Most of the songs are brand new, but Natural Born Vagabonds was already written for the last record, but we didn't think that it would fit to the composition of the whole record. So we put it on hold, and now we're happy to have it on the new album. But most of the songs are brand new, except of course for Neil Young's "Rockin' in the Free World." That's little bit older, but we played that on tour as a like a gimmick in the last set list. So we liked it so much, and the audience liked it so much that we decided to put it on the record as well.
Okay. Interesting to know. So I saw that I saw that seven, well, in this case, the new roses are continue working in albums because the previous one was released in 2022, so 2 years ago. So for this, are you always working on a new music, or do you prefer to focus on it once you finish it touring, promote the last album? So how do you decide when it's time to work on a new songs and a new album?
I collect ideas for a while. So after a record is done, we go on tour, and during the tour, I just collect ideas. So I don't write complete songs. I just yeah record little snippets on my phone or on the recorder, and I put them aside. And after I feel I've collected enough, I listen to everything I collected, and then I kind of filter everything, and I throw stuff away, and I group stuff, and then I put everything away again most of the time, and then I do nothing for a while and just let it be. And then I feel it's time, and then I yeah sit down and I write the whole record.
Okay. Okay. So many bands and musicians see each album as a child, each one special in its own way. So what makes this album special to you, and what does bring us musically and lyrically this time?
I would say lyrically, we stayed on the path that we followed for the last couple of records. So we write songs very close to life, the ups and downs. Being on the road is a very big topic for us always, and new love, old love, and broken hearts and burning hearts. So this is always like our frame that we work in. But musically, Norman came back to the band during the last tour, but we have already released Sweet Poison. So for this record, I sat down and I tried to write songs that would fit this new lineup better, because we got two guitarists now, and I don't play guitar on the stage anymore. So I tried to write songs that would bring out their strength,
Mhm.
and so the whole record kind of got a little bit harder and a little bit more gain on the guitars, and it's a little bit more rough and reckless and a little bit meaner. So and that is kind of the reason for that, because Norman came back to the band, and we got two hard rock guitarists now on the guitars, because when I played guitar it was more come more from the classic rock and the country side of music, so I always try to yeah, I wrote like for the mix of that. But now that we got two guitars, from a more harder perspective, we yeah try to make good songs for them to enjoy on the stage.
Okay, okay. So on this topic, I'm checking all albums from the band, especially since the big. I'm talking about the cover art, especially from Denman Voices, One More for the Road, and on the previous one, Sweet
Yeah,
Poison. You always decide to put on the cover art intensive color, so yellow, red before
yeah.
black, like these colors. So why the band always use intensive colors in the cover art? There is a reason to use this intensive color. Why do you lean down like usually a hard rock band? Usually the band in front of the like the new bands, like the band in front of the cover art, this kind of topic. So why do you decide to lean down for the intensive colors in the cover arts?
It kind of it was an experiment at first on the One More for the Road record, and the artist that draws our artworks, he he was open for that, because he drew the artwork for Dead Man's Voice before, and that was a classic rock and roll artwork. And then we asked him, like, could you imagine trying that out with something like very um very, I would say, strange or afar from that typical color set that you would use for a record. And he agreed, and then he picked that color for that was kind of a green blue kind of thing.
Yeah.
uh and it was, we liked it because on it's something special, so we thought like, hey, this could be something that people could connect to us when they see these kind of colors. So we tried it again on Nothing But Wild, with that neon yellow wolf on the front. And then we did it again with Sweet Poison. We took that completely like alarm red. And so we thought, like, we want to keep this going, and Attracted to Danger kind of explained itself, that we want to do like a danger sign thing. And so that yellow kind of really fitted to the whole idea. So yeah, we liked that we came up with that new color setting for rock and roll music.
Okay, okay, interesting. So one thing that captured my attention all since your previous album, since the Sweet Poison and this new album Track to Danger, is that the band has a name, the New Roses. And usually when you set up or when you try to relate the concept roses, roses all the time has to be more nostalgic with something to do with love, these kind of things. But when you read the name of the album, Attract to the Danger, is more like aggressive thing. And obviously Sweet Poison is the thing. So what is there something, a console thing done when you try to relate the name of the band with the name of the album, because it's two there's antonyms in some ways.
I think we we kind of filled the name with our message. And we picked the rose as a symbol for us back then, because of course it's a very classical rock and roll symbol. We got rose tattoo, we got the Guns N' Roses, and we got many songs
Yeah,
that pick up
like
that
from
symbol.
Poison, yeah.
A countless song. Yeah, yeah, all the Bed of Roses, and Roses on Your Grave, and all these songs. So, and the I think, because I think the reason for that symbol is because it's very beautiful, and
Mhm.
it can be something very like romantic, but at the same times it got thorns, and it can hurt you if you handle it the wrong way. And so it's both, and that's what we kind of like about it. It can be beautiful but dangerous at the same time. And that's why we try to connect those things together. So we try to mix ballads, and this is like what it kind of is a pretty unique thing, I guess, in this band, that you can connect songs like Four Wheels or Whiskey in the Backseat to songs like Natural Born Vagabonds or Hold Me Up on this record, you know. So we kind of um, do the whole spectrum of beauty and recklessness. So I guess it kind of comes together with this in this way with that when you have that name and the rose and then the Attracted to Danger. So it all kinds of gets together in inside the songs, you know.
Okay, okay. So talking about all the kind of topics, especially for the promotion for this new album, what kind of plans do
Yeah.
you have for this new one? Perhaps you will embark some tours there, you will come to US, Latin America, who knows what kind of plans, or perhaps you already working on a new songs for the new album.
Yeah. So yeah, right now I'm in that phase where I'm yeah, trying to catch a breath after this whole yeah, it's always crazy when you finish your record because you got to finish songs and work on new material at the same time, and then you got to record that stuff at the same time. You got to mix and master, and you know you got to start working on the artwork, the video, the tour plan, the backdrop, the new stage design, the set list. Everything has to work like simultaneously, you know. So once that's done, it's almost time to go on tour. So I try to take the few weeks, sometimes it's just days between finishing a record and starting the tour, just to relax a little bit. And then the touring starts. And when the touring starts, I start writing again or start collecting the ideas, like I said. And you know, we're gonna focus a lot of on UK this time. We got a whole tour coming up in October in the UK. We're gonna do 12 or 13 shows in one row. So we've never done that many shows without a break, full shows, and we're very excited to be back in the UK, and we really want to focus on that. And once we're coming back, we're going straight to tour Germany and Switzerland and Belgium, Netherlands, and Austria and all those countries until Christmas. Then we're gonna put some some pillows and blankets under the Christmas tree, and then we're gonna sleep for a couple of days. And I think we're gonna tour. We'll continue to tour early next year, like we always do. So we tour a lot. We're a very enthusiastic live band. We like to be on the road, and once that's done, you know, yeah, we will start preparing for the next record. You know.
Okay, okay. As a young band, well, as a relative young band, what inspires you to create new music and bet on new releases in digital age where have hundreds of bands releasing albums every week or every weekend now? So there is a lot of composition for this reason. So do you feel like you have to compete with a lot of bands, especially in your style?
I've never seen music as a competition. I think it's the is as wrong as it can get when you start compete with other bands or other musicians. It's an art form, you know. It's an art can never be a competition, in my view. So we all love rock and roll music, and you know, as long as there's bands out there that want to keep that flame alive and feed that flame, I'm always super happy. You know, when I see a rock band that has really got the vibe, the groove, the authenticity, and everything, I always try to contact them and I congrat them to a good record or something. I always try to stay in touch and maybe play together or work together or something like that. Yeah, I don't see music as a competition at all. It's something I think that is wrong, and it kind of manipulates your songwriting and your performance, I guess. Of course, you want to be the best band you can possibly be. So I don't compare myself with other bands. I just try like, is that all you got? Can you do better? You know, and sometimes I see somebody playing really good or singing very, very well. And then I don't feel bad about it. I just think like, wow, I want to be that good. I want to, you know, I want to be better. So yeah, when I hear a band that's awesome, I feel it makes me happy, and it motivates me to try out new stuff and get better myself.
Okay, okay. So I remember that we spoke in 2022 for the previous album and interview. I remember that asked you about if you still listen new bands or new releases for the bands like Def Leppard, Scorpions, and there's still bands that continue releasing albums, singles, or continue touring these kind of topics. So and for these kind of things, so I always consider that rock or metal is the music of people that may age but keep the spirit in young. So I listened to the last records for the classic bands, and after decades, many of them managed to keep the energy. But to be realistic, nothing lasts forever. So, in your opinion, what do you think is going to happen when most classic bands that can perform at the stadiums will be retired? Do you think that there are younger bands that can carry the torch in that aspect?
No, no chance. There will never be another Kiss or ACDC or whatever, Metallica or whatever. So I'm not living in a fairy tale or something. So it's not that there are. I don't think that there are no bands out there that are good enough. But all these bands created something very special, and after that's been created, it's already there. So when a band comes up like Airborne or something like that, and they play very good, and they play in the style of ACDC, and they do it very well, or Greta Van Fleet or something, they're very, very good. No doubt about it. But they do something that has already been there, and then so you can't unleash that like hysterical movement for something, because it's already been there, and it has already happened. So I think in perspective on rock music, I think like pretty much everything that should have been done has been done, and you can add certain aspects. We've seen that with Volbeat, for example. They did something new. It's not they mixed stuff that hasn't been there before. They took that old school rockabilly kind of style with that Metallica kind of style, and they created sort of a new thing, but it's not a complete new movement. And so I don't think when those bands retire that there will be a new like complete movement. You see it, for example, it's a very good example. The Foo Fighters are maybe the biggest rock band on the planet at the moment, but they are not Metallica. You can be as famous as possible, and Taylor Swift is not, it's not rock music, of course, but it's huge. It sells more records, I guess, than the Beatles or whatever. So she broke all those records, but she will never be the Beatles. She can't be. Nobody can't be. As it doesn't matter how good you are. So that kind of historical movement will never happen again. So of course you can't step in those footsteps of those big bands. And I really don't know what's going to happen. There will always be rock music, and there will always be good guitarists out there and great drummers that will listen to Led Zeppelin, and they can't resist it to pick up the drum kit and try to play like John Bonham, for example. That will always happen because it's magic. You hear it once. When I heard Free for the first time, like Paul Rogers singing, I had to become a singer, and I try to be the best version myself. But I really don't know what's going to happen. Of course, in 200 years, they will still listen to the Rolling Stones. And I guess Keith Richards might be still alive by then. But, I really don't know what's going to happen. But I'm not afraid that rock and roll won't survive. I guess it will always be there, like it's, let's say, 80 years old now, and I guess it will be there in 100 or in 200 years. You will always listen to Mozart. It doesn't matter how long ago that is, and there are many classic composers out there that do great stuff, and they write great themes for movies or whatever, but you will never know them in 200 or 300 years, but you still know Mozart. And I guess it's going to be the same with the Rolling Stones or with Kiss. There will always be rock bands, but they will never be as big as those bands, I guess.
Okay, okay. Well, one of the last questions for this interview, Timmy, is the
Yeah,
music industry changed a lot throughout decades, so especially for classic
yeah,
bands from the 70s or 80s. They have seen huge changes around or
yes,
from the last 20 years. But even for young bands like you, new bands, and bands from 15 years at least, see this kind of change into the music, especially for the digital platforms because have become more important to spread your music around the world. So
yeah.
how has been your experience with digital platforms and how do you deal with the issue of the fans not listening to the full albums like before because they focus more on singles?
You know, like you say, it's been changing since day one, and we, you know, what's funny is everybody thinks that this is new, that people focus more on singles, but go back to the 50s or 60s. you
Everything
know
was
Elvis released, I don't know, 15 singles a year. you know he recorded singles, he never recorded real records. He went to the studio and he recorded 4 songs, and then he would release, I don't know, 7 albums with different kind of titles and everything. Look, when you look up Elvis, you can't find a real like discography, where it said this was album number 1 and this was album number 2. It was like all over the place. Here's a single and here's a single and there's a new album and there's a live bootleg or whatever. So they released and released. And look at Motown, what they did back then with all those soul acts, the one hit wonders, all the time. So people think it's new that there are like all these one hit wonders out there, that people have one single and then they disappear and then there's a new one, but it's been there in the 50s and 60s, and it's pretty much exactly the same. Maybe the music is different, but the kind of attitude is the same. The system is the same back, like it's been back then. There was a period when it was different, when people bought albums and people loved to have concept albums and everything. And then it all took its peak when Metallica released its Black album and Nirvana came out, and so it was like all album. But now I think we're in a cycle. So we're at the point again where we were in the 50s and 60s. And I guess we will come back to the when you move further on in the circle. I think we will come back to albums one day. And it's the same with interviews and podcasts. Nobody could have imagined that people will be into listening to an interview that goes like 2 hours and 30 minutes or 4 hours. But these days everybody loves podcasts and they can listen to it like all day long. Joe Rogan is the biggest podcast in the world, and every episode is like 2 or 3 hours long. If you would have told somebody like 5 or 10 years ago that somebody wants to bring a new concept with 4 hour interviews, people would have laughed at his face. And now it's a very, very normal thing. So I believe that everything changes and everything, the pendulum swings, and you always have to kind of recognize what's going on, and you have to adjust to the momentarily system, you know but you have to stay true to yourself, and you have to maybe deal with certain changes. But I guess there's always a way, and there's always a chance for real art. If you are a good band, there's always a chance for you, no matter what the system is about at the moment.
Okay, okay. Well, Timmy, we come to the sad moment of this interview. I hope you enjoyed this interview as I did, and
Yeah, very much. Good questions, brother. Good
thank you very
questions.
much. Thank you very much for your time and thanks for this.
No
So
problem.
this Attracted to Danger is a tremendous album for the band. Congratulations on it. So maybe
Thanks,
you
sir.
have to add something to your Latin fans and obviously Methalarium followers.
It's always been I think it's the second time we've been talking, right?
Yeah, yeah, right, right. We
Yeah.
spoke
So
2 years
it's
ago.
yeah. Yeah, it's always a pleasure, and I'm so stoked. I'm sitting here in Germany, and I write all these songs, and I just here for myself, and then I write them, and all of a sudden I talk to somebody, and bringing to all the Latin fans out there, bringing the rock music that I wrote in this little studio here. So it's always a crazy circumstance to talk to you, and I appreciate you spreading the word out there.